Welcome to another episode of the S.A.G.E Holistic Show. My name is Emily Sillis and I'm your host. Today we have another one of our S.A.G.E chats where we talked about if you sat in our chair. The 5 therapists from S.A.G.E Holistic Health and Wellness Center get together to have a chat, and I hope you enjoy it as much as I did.
S.A.G.E is a 501c3 nonprofit organization building community by providing education and counseling about physical, mental, and spiritual well-being. We encourage all of our listeners to find their own path to what holistic wellness means to you.
All right, so we are live. We had a couple little snafus as I was trying to figure out the technical side of things, but my name is Emily Sellis. I'm the founder and also a licensed marriage and family therapist at S.A.G.E Holistic Health and Wellness Center, and I'm so glad to have all the therapists here with me today. So I just want you all to just take a moment to introduce your name. Just say hi, say your name, and then I'm going to introduce the topic tonight.
Hi, I'm Reagan.
I'm Renee.
Hi, I'm Liana. Hi, sorry, Renee. That's Renee. I'm Liana. Hi.
And I'm Sada.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. So tonight we've been so excited. We've been talking about what kind of topics we can have for these S.A.G.E chats that are just honestly so much fun for all of us, right, ladies? This is just always fun to get together when we can. Right. So today we thought of the topic of what it would be like if you sat in our chair. So our chair being the therapist chair. Such a unique job that we have, and I had put on the copy of writing about the marketing for this, like, you know, it's people that are really curious about what happens in a therapist's office, and there's a lot of like maybe misconceptions about what happens in a therapy office. So just wanted to talk about this. This is such a passion of mine, is destigmatizing therapy and just talking more about this so that people can reach out and see that we're not scary people. We're here to support and help. So what do you guys want to jump in on for this topic? And Reagan, we're so glad you could join us today. I know you weren't here with us last time.
No, I'm very glad to, be a part of this and just sort of, I guess not necessarily dispel myths, but I think just sort of like bring a little bit of like insight around therapy, right? I think there's a lot of sort of expectations or worries or fears about what the process is going to look like, like what you're supposed to do. And in large part, I think for me, some of like the big things that I've recognized in working with people is just sort of that it's not a performative thing, therapy, right? It's very much like you come as you are, you show up and you speak to whatever it is that's happening in your life at that time. And I think in some ways this comes up for me with clients when they are in this place of like, I don't know really like what to talk about today, or I don't know, what am I supposed to say, especially in this first sessions, right? What am I supposed to say? And it's very much like guided by, whatever is coming up for you in this moment. And I think in some ways that's kind of one of the big things that like stands out to me. I don't know about you all.
Yeah, I mean, I'll agree with you on that, and I get the same question, at least in the intake. Even a phone consult, it starts off with, "Yeah, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. This is my first time, talking to a therapist." I usually even perceive a bit of caution. I hear caution in the voices. I can usually pick up when someone is thinking about what they're going to say next, and it's it's totally understandable. And you have to remember, we feel the same way. We don't know what's coming through our doors or on the phone or via telehealth. We get anxious too. Like, I have to really prepare for a first session, a first consult. I don't know what's going to be received on the other end. I don't know what words are going to come out, but no matter what, it's embraced. And like Reagan said, you just come as you are. You talk about whatever you want to talk about. I know that sounds wild, but you do. Whatever you feel like talking about that day, it just happens. And like a normal conversation, the ball just gets rolling, and before you know it, your 45 minutes or your 60 minutes, your session's just up. And, it's kind of like an exchange of conversation. And I think that's one of the, I don't know, quote unquote myths, is that there's an agenda. And if you sat in my chair, there is no agenda. It is just come, and whatever presents for that day is what presents for that day. And we'll address it as it comes. And that's pretty much it. It's a pretty cool process.
And I want to play a little devil's advocate with you, Liana, because I can imagine what some of our listeners might be thinking is like, well, why is it not very directed? Like, I thought you go to therapy and there's like this plan, or at least like an idea of how the therapist is going to fix me. I don't know if that's too much of a term to use, or just like what I'm the one that's going there to be healed, or to be, to be the one receiving the service. So I just want to know what you'd say to that. If I can play devil's advocate a little bit.
Sure. You're going to challenge me. So sometimes we get challenged, challenges happens. I think to answer that pretty simplistically, that's where our education comes in. That's where our experience comes in. We have a tool belt. You might not be able to see our tool belt, but we are prepared to work with you in what comes our way. But what I'd like to point out is that we don't have an agenda per se. So you don't have to be nervous thinking that I'm going to have to just tell my whole life story. And that's the one that I get a lot is, I think people get nervous because they have so much to unload, and potentially, it's impacting their lives. And the first session isn't about that. Even the third or the fourth or even the 10th, it's, you take it at your own pace. And when I mention like, I don't have a plan, I truly mean I don't have a plan, but I am prepared. I'm prepared to take on whatever comes my way. And that's a part of, I think, again, adding to, we are a person in the room, right? I am, just being my authentic self, but I am prepared to embrace what comes my way, and whatever tools I need to take out in that moment, I'll reach for. And if it works, then it works. And I will usually include my client in that conversation about how they're feeling, check in with them. Is this working? And if it's not, let's throw it out. Let's try something new, because not one technique doesn't work on one client, one intervention, one modality. So until I get to know you, usually it takes a few sessions, and then I know a little bit more about where our sessions are going, and I can help facilitate that journey with you.
I would love to actually answer the first question and relate to this little challenge that you brought on. Thank you. So I was actually thinking about this question myself, and what came to my mind was, you guys have heard about the proverb that says, give a man a fish and feed him for a day, and then feed him for a day, and then teach him to fish, but feed him for a lifetime, something like that. Yeah. Well, in my opinion, the fundamental goal of therapy, I think, is to actually, for me at least, help people understand and ultimately solve their own problems, understand themselves and the world around them, not solving their problems for them. So yeah, we have, just like Liana was saying, we have a toolbox, but there's this stigma that you go to therapy to get advice, but therapy is just so much more than that. And to me, it's like this blooming process. I get why people come to therapy to get advice. It's totally normal. Don't feel ashamed about it. We want things to be fixed very, very, very fast. But in therapy, we tend to actually look at that bigger picture. What we do is we dig into why we think the way that we do, or why we want the things that we want, or why we speak the way that we speak, and of course why we feel the things that we do feel. And instead of giving advice, we empower our clients to go on a journey within themselves to get to know themselves, and in that path learn to love themselves, learn to take care of themselves with the toolbox that we might have to offer. And in that path, then feel empowered to make their own decisions confidently and effectively.
Great points. Yeah, I love those thoughts. What do you think, Renee? To jump you in here.
I know everybody said such good things. I feel like I can speak for myself. I feel like I can speak for most of you. I personally have a very eclectic palette when it comes to working with clients. And so I think, it is really probably nerve-wracking. I remember one of my best friends calling me. She was like, I need to find a therapist. I need somebody to fix me. I need somebody to just tell me what to do. And I was like, that's not what therapy is. And so, but we do have people who come in and they just really need guidance. But then, I think I work with older adults. A lot of my clients are older adults. And I think for me, it's just the rapport building. That relationship for me is everything. So the technique that we use, we've spent tons of time in school and testing all of that to learn all these modalities, and they're in there. But I really feel like the most important thing is really that relationship with the client therapist relationship. And it's, my job, I feel like, to make my client feel comfortable and just to know this is their session, not mine. So
yeah, no, that's so great. And I think that you nailed that on the head. I think it is so much about connection and about how deep we are able to go with our clients. And we're able to go as deep as those clients want to go, as long as that's a good fit. Right. We've all had those experiences happen, and that's where we do want to empower our clients to even have that correct fit. Or that's where we start with the phone consultation, and then, even having that first meeting, the first session, which is oftentimes just filled with so much anxiety for a client. There's so much courage that is brought into that room, and it's this process of stepping on that path and like them trying to feel for themselves whether or not it's going to work. And we do what we can. Sitting in our chair, we hold that space and we create this environment that just breathes authenticity, like allowing people to show up and really just be themselves. Where else can you do that in life?
Right.
And where else do you have a space where those are the rules, right? The
right.
rules
Yes.
are for you to come in here and just be you and to be accepted for being you. And it just gives me goosebumps even thinking about that. I just always feel so honored to do this. This is a second career for me, and to just feel so right as rain in this position, like sitting there with my clients and just like, all right, let's link arms and let's walk into the jungle. Let's go in there and figure out what kind of bears and monsters there are, and we're going to slay them together. So that's kind of how I can picture that. And I just am always in so much awe of my clients and what they are capable of, what the human spirit is capable of healing from. But the G in SAGE, it's an acronym, it stands for guidance. And I think you guys all touched on that. Like, it's guidance is very different than advice. And so, yeah, holding space for people is part of that, and being able and being willing to let people write their own story and breathe into that. And it's not about us telling you what you should be doing with your life, because we want you to be empowered and have the power to do that. So I don't know. What do you guys think?
Oh, Reagan,
We want to hear you.
You're muted.
There you are.
Is it done? Okay.
Yeah, you're back.
I don't know what happened.
Is it done?
Is it done muting you?
I know, exactly. No, just so much of everything that you all have touched on, right? It's such a unique space. And I feel like that's why, that's the thing that comes up for me most readily with clients, where it's this is a place to really on both sides. I feel like it's this attunement to your intuition, right? What's coming up for you in this moment, because the hope is that in that allowing of, or that surrendering to whatever is coming up in the moment, it brings you to this place of sort of being able to then generalize that skill set to your life outside of therapy, right? To allow what comes up and to kind of tune in and say what do I need in this moment? And to be able to do that, it really does require that you're able to tap into that authentic side of yourself. Otherwise, it's kind of whose need am I fulfilling in this moment by taking this action? But yeah. It's such an incredible like job. I just, I don't know. I feel every day just like this is, I don't know.
What you get to do, right?
Yeah, really though, like I like hesitate to say it because I'm like, but it's true. And like some days it's like this is a job, like this is work. Like
I know.
I don't know. It's really, I feel really lucky, I guess.
Yeah.
I love how you just express that, Reagan. I always love listening to you. You start going and I'm like, oh, there she goes. And it like comes in, I feel empowered. And I'm like, oh yeah. Cause we start reflecting on ourselves too. Like right now I was thinking, how did I do on my last personal therapy session? And how did I walk into that session? What were my expectations? I'm self-reflecting on my experience. And you would think that, we'd have it all figured out, and we don't. And it's cool because it keeps us on that humanistic side, that we are, we're equals, with our client. When my client comes in, whoever it is, I don't look at them or view them as someone who is beneath me, or I have so much skills to, lay upon this person. It's not like that. It's like two individuals just meeting, like we're meeting for coffee, or hey, let's just have a conversation. And something that's really worked for me and that I've noticed with my clients, and when they have those aha moments or they walk out of therapy going, wow, like this session was great, it's typically because they slow down. Right? We live in a very high pace society. We're all on a schedule. No matter who you are, you're on a schedule. I think we forget to breathe. Sometimes we forget to take moments to ourselves. So I'll have clients who come in and it's like, oh, I have so much going on and I don't even know where to start. I just need to be fixed. And we just slow it down. And when I see my clients take a breath, release their shoulders, sit into their chair, take a few minutes to gather their thoughts, that's when they're able to explore what's going on. They're able to grasp the concepts that they feel are so out of their reach, and they're not. So even taking, that one session, one time a week, just to slow down and to sit in what is their stuff, has tremendous impact on their overall mental health, spiritual health, emotional health. And I think that is something I absolutely love seeing in session, is just being able to see a client slow down. And if they can't slow down the rest of the day or the rest of the week, that's cool. At least they're coming once a week to do that. And we're hoping to implement that they can eventually remind themselves to slow down and that they are fully capable of living the life that they want to live. And that's pretty cool.
I'm going to put you on the spot, Leona. Sorry, sit off. What was the the metaphor that you used about the boat that we all had together? I feel like that was such a beautiful way to describe something about how, like, I don't know. Do the rest of you remember?
It was something like
that.
But
we're not paddling. We're in the boat with them, but they're the ones paddling.
Directing it. They're like the captain.
We'll figure it out for next time.
We'll have to figure it out. I don't remember.
It was beautiful.
I think I blacked out when I said it. I don't know.
It was such an aha moment for all therapists.
See, and that's what happens in the room, and then it goes away, because that was our time together, and then I'm off doing my own thing.
Yes.
Well, I think what Renee was saying, just so our listeners understand, is like the metaphor. I think there's a lot of beautiful metaphors. I mean, talk about being deep about life. Like, this is a place to do it, right? This is what therapy is. It's like, let's get to the real stuff. Like, what is it that you're not doing or that you want to do, or that how can we help you get back to you? And so this metaphor that Liana brought up, I'm actually not even sure, was it you, Liana, or was it Reagan or Saddam? It's like what I say, it's the collective, right?
Yeah.
The collective consciousness of our group. It was the idea of like, everyone's going down the river on a boat in life, and sometimes the waters get really choppy and we need a guide along the way. Mm-hmm. And so the therapists, we're the ones that can help talk with you and just, help you figure out how to keep the boat steady. And we want to help you stay in the boat. We don't want you to jump off your own boat and like swim away from it. We want to keep you kind of grounded in that space so that you can, know where you want to go. Like you can be the captain of your boat and take it where you want to go. Is that what you were referring to? Did I miss something? Or I thought
for sure somebody would remember. Yeah, just we're there to help you navigate, not to control the the boat. It's
So-
the client's boat.
Yeah. Almost like, let's get in the boat together. Like I'm
Yeah.
going to jump in the boat with you for that session. Your boat might be doing this. We're going to just help stabilize, learn how to use your oar, learn how to be directive. And then when my time's up, I'm jumping out of the boat and you will have full power to, navigate yourself. And sometimes we're just guides. We're just guides for a quick minute or so, and
Right.
that's really what this is. It's a connection. Like you mentioned, it's a relationship. It's something that we can connect to. And, we're on this journey together and we'll always kind of be here, right? Like if you need us, we'll be here. And the goal is to help you to achieve the goal that you want for yourself. And whatever that is, we'll work on it together.
Yeah, it's such a unique relationship, the therapy and client relationship. And so this idea of like, what does the therapist think, right, in the room? What does the therapist, if we're the ones sitting in the chair, we've brought our client into this space. I mean, I think that sometimes I hear that question, like, even in jokes, like about my partner, like, oh, people like, oh, your partner must love being married to a therapist, right? I'm sure you guys with partners hear that. And so it's like, well, what is it like to be coming into that room? What is it like for us to bring them into our room? And what are we thinking? And again, I think sometimes there can be that projection, which is that, clients are in that space of like, I don't know what this is. This is uncertain. And I'm going into this space. I don't know who this is. And I often say that to my clients that are new is like, you have no idea about who I am. And this is not about me. I'm not going to be sharing who I am. And so this just is a very unique relationship. And so I just wonder what you guys could speak to about that, because I think that's kind of what people think sometimes is like, what are you thinking as the therapist? Like, and that connects deeply with shame, with that we all experience shame. And when we're in that relationship with another person, it can really bring that out. So I'm just wondering what your thoughts are on that.
I mean, what comes up for me is even like that metaphor around like mirroring a client. And even like, as I hear you asking about like, what are we thinking? When a client is sitting across from us, maybe like talking about whatever it is that they've come there to talk about. And for me, so much of it's like, it feels like that mirroring moment. Like I am there to sort of like attune to what it is that you're bringing up. Like, I'm not thinking about like, oh, this is bad or this is good, right? Like, again, like this is not like an assessment of how well you're doing in life. This is meant to be like a space for support and to just really like see like what's coming up for you, and to like hold that space and allow you, again, it's sort of like reflective of everything that we've talked about, right? Allowing them to just have that space to even like work through what's coming up. And I guess that's what comes up for me.
Yeah, I think what you're saying, it's probably easy for a client to be wondering, oh, are they judging me? Or, I mean, I've had people throw things out at me and they thought like, I'm so embarrassed I said that, or, oh, that was whatever. Like I'm expecting some judgment from that. And I feel like we are so busy just holding space for the client that there's no room for that judgment, because that's not our job. It's not our job to judge or to assume that we have the same values and beliefs and all of that. It's just our job to hold space and then provide insight. And I think that's probably a worry that clients have, that, oh, you're going to judge me if I say this. But that's definitely, like I said, I feel like we don't have room for that because we're just so busy. I mean, I know I'm so mindful in the moment that I don't have time to be judging because I'm just wanting to hear and hold space. So
I'm going to echo off that. When you asked Emily or no, what do you think? My first inclination is that's my time to not think. I'm such an overthinker, and I can't even fall asleep at night. I'll clench my teeth sometimes. I have to do relaxations because I think so much. But in the session, it's my time to just be the observer and pick up on cues. I'm watching you, I'm reading you, I'm helping to point out things that maybe you don't see as the client, right? You can't see yourself speak. You don't see your own body language. It's like I'm a translator. I'm just going to take everything that you're saying, kind of bring it in here and lightly comment on what I see, what I hear, what I feel, and to help you to resonate with your own body, to connect back with your whole self. So you might come in, with pieces here, here, and here. I'm just going to be here to pull it together and to show you my interpretation so that you just get a better understanding of who you are. And that's the greatest part of our job, because we don't have to think so much. It's just about being there with you and experiencing that moment legitimately with you.
I like how you said that, Liana. You brought in like the whole and Renee, you said insights and interpretations, Liana, and that gets into, and I know we could go on for like 2 hours just nerding out completely on theory and just like, oh yeah. But just talking quickly on that, like the psychodynamic perspective, which I know I operate from largely, is that ability to just be with the client, be that clean, that blank slate for them. Being able to provide those interpretations. And it's almost, this space is almost like it's like a parent, a loving parent, like a loving parent who has all the attention and the love that you need in this world to just thrive. And that's really kind of what the role means to me. I don't walk in thinking like I'm this person's parent, it's not like that at all, but just the typology of what a parent does, like hopefully what a parent does, that can provide that space to just really allow the person to blossom into who they are. It's very Rogerian. It's very like this unconditional positive regard for that person goes so far. And it is incredible to be in that space. I know we started a few minutes late, so if it's all right, we'll go. So we're at the full 30 minutes of Sadaf. Did you want to chime in? Do you want to kind of add your thoughts and your 2 cents to this too? I know I haven't heard from you in a minute.
Yeah, totally. I think I was going to add something to what Reagan and Renee said. And I feel like therapy is more of this space where you come in, you engage, and you try to enjoy this like process of transformation. Therapy is like enrolling in this space where you are the subject matter, or as a therapist, I can understand, and I feel when I'm sitting in the chair, I can understand how intimidating, how painful that growth could be, how hopeful and sometimes even helpless that could be for my clients. So I think sitting in that chair, I think as therapists, I don't know if you guys agree, but we are so busy with holding that space, with making sure that we are creating this space for our clients to become vulnerable and shed all that shame off. And I think my most rewarding moments are when my clients come to that aha moment, like we were talking about, like Liana was talking about, that silver lining, that like transition from hurt to healing on their own time. To that beautifully complex, non-linear growth and transformation. And I love seeing that like state in clients where they are so raw and vulnerable and shedding that shame, shedding that, why am I like this? I need to be fixed, to being exactly where they're at, and then getting curious and becoming more motivated to do some work on their own. And it can be one of the most challenging and rewarding spaces they ever take on. It's basically, I don't want to call it a course, but I almost want to call it a course.
I love that analogy. I think that's great. Like where there's a subject matter. And I oftentimes in my sessions will say, like, this is kind of like a laboratory. It's like a science lab of your life. Like you get to try some things out, and you get to be more vulnerable and more open and more willing to share things in this space because of all the constructs of confidentiality and, the limits. There's limits to that, of course, but this is the space where it's like a profession where we do that. We're like professional secret keepers for people, or these little like containers for everyone. And just to begin in that and to learn, like, okay, this is something, I think Reagan, you said it earlier, where you get to take this outside of the room and you get to like, go forward and try these things out and see how it works here in the lab first. Mm-hmm. But gosh, like being able to just learn how to trust someone. So many of us have a hard time going deep and trusting people. Mm-hmm. And here's this opportunity with your therapist to do that. And for us to be part of that, it's kind of like a dance in a sense too, of like two people that have to work together in creating that trust.
Yeah. I think then sometimes it goes beyond the session too. My favorite compliment is when my clients tell me, "You were in my head. I was having these negative thoughts and all I could hear was your words saying
Totally.
whatever, take your thoughts to trial," or so I love, that's the best compliment when and it shows so much growth when they don't have to be in the session, and they're showing the skills that they have learned on their own, and they're implementing them just, naturally. And that's, for me, that's the best compliment ever. It doesn't sound like that would be the best compliment to receive, but it is, I promise.
Yes, it is. I hear that. Are there any last thoughts, ladies, that you want to share? I feel like this is always so fun to just have these little chats and share this with our community. Any last thoughts before we shut this down?
Was just I was
everybody go at once.
I was only gonna Sadaf brought up the nonlinear growth thing, and even just speaking to that, even that not every session is gonna look the same, and some sessions you might as the client walk out feeling like, man, that was so huge, and maybe I had all these aha moments. And then there's also going to be sessions where that doesn't occur, right? Because
that's a good point. Mm-hmm.
And just to sort of normalize that, I guess, and to not make it feel like, oh, this session I didn't have an aha moment, so maybe therapy isn't working anymore. And I guess that I just only wanted to speak to that because it's such a
that's so important.
Expectation sort of check.
I know. And I love that, just even bringing that up again, normalizing those thoughts and feelings, that those are things people might feel. And how can that be something if you are feeling, to bring that in and throw that at your therapist and just say, I'm feeling disappointed that I didn't have an aha moment. And that's something that, again, talk about the metaphor and how this kind of extends itself into real life. Well, where are there other places where you feel disappointed by people? Because we all are. We're all disappointed by people. And how do we deal with that disappointment? So again, I think it's those things happen. They happen in the therapy room, but we only get to see them for 45 minutes to an hour each week out of their whole week. So we get what people bring into us, and we're eager and we're ready and we're prepared to sit with that space, and we love it. So I think that's the gist of this. We love our jobs. We love what we do.
Yeah. That's what I was actually going to comment on, that literally you guys just touched on it with just
Always
don't be
afraid.
Yeah, absolutely. Just don't be afraid to have a conversation with us. If something's not working, or you feel off, or you feel whatever it is that you're feeling, we want that. We invite that, bring it in. And, there's not one way to do this. And if you're able, and hopefully you can get to that place where you are feeling more comfortable and we will, possibly point it out and say, hey, you're different this week. What's going on? But you can bring anything to us. And I think that's another fallacy to therapy, is the idea that you go in, we're the professionals, so we know what to say, and you just follow, kind of just follow along. That's not what it is at all. It doesn't have to be that way. Now, if that's how you want it, cool, but it doesn't have to be. You can bring in anything to the room, and we get to tailor your session. Like Emily mentioned, it's your session. I think Renee said it. It's your session. This is your time. It's not ours. We're here to, assist you in any way that we can. So bring anything and everything, and let's just see how it all unfolds.
I want to add to that just real quick. I personally always say, I know we're out of time, but I always invite all the odd thoughts in session. I'm like, therapy is the one place where strange thoughts are actually acceptable. And in fact, the odder, the better. So that we can kind of dissect it and see where they're coming from.
Yeah. I know. Do not conform.
Yeah,
right.
Be yourself.
Yeah.
We have so many viewers. I feel like we should give a shout out to our viewers. This is exciting.
I know. We just had Robin D'Angelo pop on. Catherine Ward, hello. Dee. Oh my gosh, I haven't seen Dee for a long time. Do you guys, let's see, Carol Terwilliger. I'm so sorry. I did not say that very, very well. We got Denise Reagan. Denise.
Of
Denise
course.
Yes. Steve Bisson. Got Kara Schaefer, Kendra Deanne Maple. Look at all these people. Stuart Kaplowitz.
How could you see that? I don't know how to do that.
Wow. And Mark, I don't know if Mark is still with us, but
Hey,
hello,
Mark.
everybody. So awesome. So awesome for all of you to join us. And we absolutely love doing these. I know, ladies, you guys are all not, I'm not sure Sadaf might be able to be on next week, but we've got next week, we're going to be talking with our nutritionist, and we're going to be talking about mental health and nutrition. So that's kind of some fun stuff. But we are going to sign off. It's so good to see everybody. You all have a wonderful, wonderful Sunday.
Happy
Bye.
Sunday.
Happy Sunday.
Thank you for spending some of your time today with us at S.A.G.E Holistic Health and Wellness Center. If you like what we're all about, please consider supporting our nonprofit organization by making a tax-deductible donation. To do this, you can go to our website at www.sagewellnessctr.org and click on Donate in the upper right-hand corner. We look forward to spending some time again with you real soon. Take good care.